Hi, my name is John, and this is Business Update. In this week's episode, we'll be talking about the sort of anticipated game, a DC game, Suicide Squad, wherein you get to play four of the main characters in the game, namely Harley Quinn, King Shark, you have Captain Boomerang, and even Deadshot. Now, obviously, playing superhero characters, you are, you know, predisposed to play them because of their abilities that makes it interesting for commoners like us. But obviously, Rocksteady, who is the publisher makers of the game, has delayed its launch because of some issues based on the initial preview that people have got to see in terms of what the gameplay is supposed to be. And obviously, if it's a superhero game, they expect action here, and obviously the story is very important. But there were some suspicions that there was an ulterior motive on how the game would be focused, what would be the focus on the game, or how are they going to monetize the experience, if you know what I mean. Anyway, so going to the article here, according to nme.com, the game Suicide Squad killed Justice League. Based on the title, you get the premise already, what's going to happen. Has been delayed to 2024 next year. Now, what necessitates that? It mentions that it's a tough but necessary decision, maybe because feedback from the gamers at large weren't that positive because of, just to give you an example here of a gameplay that, or was it? Yeah, there you go. So this is Harley Quinn. So it would make sense she's using guns or any type of melee weapon. But if we were to look at Captain Boomerang, notice anything interesting there? Captain Boomerang, as the name suggests, should be using his weapon of choice, which is a boomerang. But in the game, he's only using, guess what? A gun, which is a dead ringer for a looter shooter type of game. So they want to do this like a live service, similar to how the Avengers game was hype, was really hyped with much anticipation, but based on its release, it was very tedious and it was obviously a cash grab because of its known IP. And there are similar patterns that's being showcased in this trailer alone. And regardless of the story, obviously, if the gameplay is not enjoyable, people are not going to buy it in droves. And obviously, with these types of experience, word of mouth is tantamount. No amount of delay, if the core mechanic is totally not enjoyable in a sense, which is the whole point of playing games in the first place, would destroy the immersion of the experience, in a nutshell here. Not interestingly, yeah, the Twitter message stating that Suicide Squad will now launch in February 2nd, 2024. We have made the tough but necessary decision to take the time needed to work on getting the game to be the best quality experience for players. Now, question is, if it needs more time, then why were they pushing it this year? So, meaning that alone, it akins to similar to how Cyberpunk 2077 was being pushed, knowing that it was not ready, so it didn't happen by accident. So everything that happens in a company, obviously the management knows what's happening, and obviously has the discretion to decide to delay it. Let's continue our marketing. Let's promote the product while building the game, so that when it comes out, it's a fully formed game that gamers can enjoy. Anyway, they go on to say that thank you for to our amazing community for the continued support. Yeah, that's going to vanish if the game is terrible, but based on the look, unless they're going to change the entire mechanic, which is I'm very skeptical that's going to happen anytime soon. They go on to mention patience and understanding. There is much more to share in the months ahead, and we look forward to seeing you in Metropolis next year. Yeah, I'm very doubtful in terms of how the game is going to turn out. Would it be as successful as similar to Hogwarts? Now, obviously, if they don't stay true to the core mechanic of what superheroes are supposed to be, being able to use their abilities, would not make sense at all. Imagine Batman is not able to use his ability throughout the gameplay here. Now, you can upgrade his weapons, but you should be able to have access to his ability. And again, the game of Spider-Man, it wouldn't be Spider-Man if he cannot, do his swing abilities or even crawl on buildings. Then it disrupts the immersion of the entire gameplay as well. Anyway, the latest delay was rumored already last month by a journalist of Jason Schreier, claiming it was mainly for polish. But if it's for polish, why take another year, right? And mentions here rather than an overhaul to the game's controversial live service format. And obviously, when I hear that, it sends red flags to my mind that it's a cash grab. They're going to milk every cent that you have, and based on that understanding, they're not going to focus on the gameplay, an enjoyable one. And if you're going to want to download, let's say, future downloadable content, you have to pay for it, which other games don't even do that. Spider-Man comes to mind. Anyway, Mr. Shire reassured fans that the 9 months is not enough time to completely change the nature of the game, which I completely agree, because obviously, it takes years or even for some a decade to finish a game from start to finish, and it's an ongoing improvement throughout the process. And obviously, delaying it just for 1 year, will it be enough? Think of what happened to Cyberpunk 2077 on the day that they launched, which they know that wasn't polished. It took another year before they were able to patch certain things. But again, it should have been 2 years later before they could actually say with confidence that the game is 90, 95, or 99% complete with minor bugs in this. But obviously, they wanted to time it with the launch of the PS5 so that they can make the cash grab there and take advantage of its hype, of its popularity from its Witcher 3 days. Well, guess what happened in that aspect? That went terribly. Even Sony, who wasn't keen on returns from the faulty game, they had to oblige their customers here, which sells a lot regarding the developers. Anyway, on top of that, Mr. Shire mentions here that on the Suicide Squad, 9 months is not enough to completely change the nature of the game, which is what the heck? There you go. And then it mentions here that the team was told that the delay was for polish. Oops. And not related to the game. Now, lots of other factors can affect releasing timing, like the console makers. Nah, I tend to agree with Mr. Shire. If the game is terrible, they're trying to keep it on the down low so that expectation won't be that high because of the feedback. Just like in films, right? If test screening showed that the audiences didn't like the film, or whatever the case may be, maybe the entire story, the ending, or whatever parts of the film, then they would redo it before they actually release it to the mass. Otherwise, it would be catastrophic. Think of when Sonic the Hedgehog was released, the first one, not the sequel, obviously. When they made the character animation for Sonic, it looks terrible. Looks like a weird sort of hedgehog of sorts, not the cuddly that we used to know and love from the animation and from the game themselves. And when they saw the test screenings results, they changed it, and the results speaks for themselves. The film was a success. There was a sequel which I was able to watch it and find it enjoyable with kids. It did a job. But the question is, obviously, making a film and a game are two different things. And obviously, game development, from focusing on what type of game experience you're going to portray for your audiences or gamers, is totally different to what the gamers expects. Then there's going to be a clash, and obviously, you know gamers will not pay if they find out that the game is that terrible. No amount of delay would solve that issue. But we'll see. So we have to wait for next year to keep you updated whether what was mentioned here and I'm suspecting is to be true here. Anyway, that's it for this week. Come back again on Wednesday for more business update. Anyway, as always, thank you for continue supporting the channel. Hit the like, subscribe button if you're new to this channel. Or you can check out my other content for live discussions on Business Focus Live, or even Business Monday checklist every Mondays, or every other Mondays. Sorry. As always, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.